The exercises you choose to do when you start exercise with oxygen therapy will have a profound impact on the results you can expect to get. The reason EWOT is so powerful is because of the synergies that are created by mixing oxygen with exercise. And while each one has a lot of benefits, combining them gives us something that neither one could give us alone. So you need to get the exercises right. And the exercises you choose to start with often have a huge impact on long-term results. I mean, let's say you buy an EWOT system and you set it up in your extra bedroom next to that exercise bike that's been collecting dust since COVID. On your first session, you hop on the bike only to realize how much you dislike the bike, how uncomfortable it is, and why it's been collecting dust all this time. You're never going to get into a consistent rhythm having to use that bike, and you're never going to get the EWOT benefits. Or let's say you're someone who has inflamed joints, and in your first session, you jump on the old treadmill, and within a few minutes, you realize you're never going to get to 15 minutes. Your knees start hurting. Now, that doesn't mean you'll never be able to use the treadmill again, of course, but we want to give EWOT some time to help and start giving you benefits before we start trying to stress the joints. So by starting with the right exercises, we often find people are able to do more and they have more options later. So how do you decide what are the right exercises for you? Well, the first rule is what I call the Golden Rule of EWOT. The Golden Rule of EWOT is select the exercise that you like best, the one that's most comfortable, the one that you enjoy the most, the one that meets you at the level you're at today. Because when you select an exercise that you truly enjoy, or at least is comfortable, then you're more likely to do it. And the real benefits of EWOT come when you're consistent over time. Day after day, week after week, even year after year. So we want to get you into a consistent routine. Okay, so that's the golden rule and that's the guiding principle for when you're starting. But let's talk about the specific equipment. My favorite, what I'll consider the gold standard of EWOT, is any stationary equipment. It could be a bike, it could be a treadmill, it could be an elliptical, a rowing machine, or a stair climber. Any of these are great. And we often get people who will call us and say, yeah, but which one's better? And again, the answer is the same. One of them could be 5% better than the other. But if you're not going to do it as consistently, it's going to provide no benefit. So the best one to do is the one you enjoy and will do most frequently. But of course, not everyone can use those pieces of equipment. And we have a lot of folks who come to us and they're very sick and they're out of condition and they couldn't imagine spending 15 minutes on a treadmill or an exercise bike. They might have balance issues. They might have stamina and energy issues, or they just might be frail. So for those folks, there's a lot of other options as well. You can start with anything from a pedal bike that you would use with a regular chair. You can get these for like $49 on Amazon. You can use a rebounder. Rebounder is a really good option for a lot of people because it helps with lymphatic flow. It's very gentle on the joints. A lot of people find it fun to actually use the rebounder, and it will get your heart rate up. Another one people who are very sick or out of condition will start on sometimes is a vibration plate. Now, a vibration plate can be good because, again, it will help stimulate lymphatic flow. It also will stimulate heart rate increases, and so you will get benefits that will help you to get started. We have folks who are very sick who start with like an infrared sauna. So infrared sauna is not only is it good for detoxification, one of the things it does is it increases the heart rate. So when you're doing EWOT, the goal is to consume oxygen and elevate your heart rate at the same time. Because when your heart rate is elevated, your breathing rate is elevated as well, increasing the oxygen intake. And then the heart rate increase itself is helping move all of that oxygen throughout your circulatory system into all of the tissues of your body. And infrared sauna will increase your heart rate. So that one is another one that works for folks. And then we even have some folks who are sick or in poor conditioning who will start by just doing aerobics or even gentle stretching. So those are also great options for people who are space constrained. We have folks who will buy an EWOT system, but they don't have room for the EWOT system and a piece of large cardio equipment. So they might start by doing aerobics, and that's a great place to start. awesome thing about EWOT is that as you do it, your cardio conditioning is going to improve rapidly over time. And I mean much more rapidly than if you were just doing the exercises. So what this might look like is someone might start with gentle stretching while breathing through the mask, and they might do that for several weeks. And towards the end of that period, they're going to notice that they've got more energy and they're starting to feel a little bit better and they feel like they can do more. So they might start integrating aerobics for part of that. They might take their last few minutes and do aerobics. And then over time, they might even graduate into a pedal bike. And then finally, after that feels good, they might graduate into a recumbent bike or a treadmill or another piece of cardio equipment. We often find that we have these customers who start out in these very difficult situations, and then we hear back from them 6 months later and they're in a completely different space. So don't let it discourage you if you can't use a piece of cardio equipment. Start where you're at and allow the oxygen to help you increase your wellness and increase your conditioning so that you can do more. Now, the last type of equipment people will use is strength training equipment. That can be everything from actually just doing push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, those sorts of things. It could be using free weights, and it could be a weight machine. And there's a lot of benefits to using EWOT while doing any of those, because EWOT will help reduce the lactic acid buildup. When you're lifting weights, it's often the lactic acid buildup that causes you to fatigue and need to stop. So when you're breathing through the mask, you will find that you're able to lift more weights. And so obviously you're going to have more gains. And then after you get done with that session, you'll notice less stiffness and soreness in your muscles. So a faster recovery. Now, if you are going to use it and you're really interested in using it for weight and strength training gains, my preference is actually to do strength training without the mask and then use the EWOT in a short cardio session afterwards to blast all that lactic acid out and to help with the recovery so that you can come back stronger to your next session. So in general, the golden rule for EWOT is use the equipment or the exercise modality that you're most comfortable with. Because when you have a piece of equipment that meets you where you're at and you're most comfortable with, you're going to be more consistent over time and get more benefits. And once you start seeing those benefits, it becomes self-reinforcing. You want to do more of it because it's making you feel great. But we need to kick that flywheel off. And if you're trying to decide between a piece of equipment, just about any sort of equipment or exercises that get your heart rate up while you're breathing exercise are good. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, come watch our next video where we talk about which system to buy. Thanks a lot and see you in the next one.